Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a plague video. This is going to be different from my other build videos and most build videos you'll see, but not something that I haven't done before. On one of my, two of my Trickster videos, I talked about his changes and how I felt and why I'm running certain things, and then just gave you gameplay, no commentary, so you can see the proof and the practice without any of me trying to crack jokes and rambling on and, distracting. So, I want to see if I can do that for other characters in the roster. Give me feedback on how you like this format, because that one seemed to be accepted nicely. Now, mind you, it was because of Trickster's changes, and I've been a Trickster main for a long time, but I figured, hey, I won't know unless I try it on other people. So, give me feedback if you like this format. I'll hopefully have timestamps if I remember to show you where to go if you just want the gameplay. And right now, we're going to get into the build and how we got here. So first, how we got here overall is why am I playing Plague is because of a comment on a Trickster video 2 weeks ago. I was talking about the buffs again, mainly the ones or this last batch that was focused on Trickster's main event, and I was doing a really poor job in the video recording and just in general thinking about it of how to now describe new Trickster. It's I said something along the lines where it's more of a Bubba, but he's always been like Bubba, but less like Bubba, more like Bubba, as well as now it's like an Oni where you have your power, your main event, your Demon Dash, and you try to get as much value out of that as possible and keep it going. But Dawn's Luna 5702 2 weeks ago on that video, and it stuck with me, cleared up and gave a better analogy than I could possibly think of, in that new Trickster is like Plague, where if there's an opening, you're using your power, otherwise, you're better off going for the M1, which is very true. And you might not understand that because you go, well, I'm using my power all the time to get the M1 as Plague, and that's where we get to the next step. I've not been an amazing Plague. I think I've been an okay Plague. I've definitely, she's not one of my worst in the roster. There's definitely, I have poor performances on other people, but I've just been passable. And a lot of the time, there's been people that have actually been Plague mains that are happy to see a Plague video for once. And it feels kind of bad not being able to do her too much justice, but just playing her in a way that I know I can make her work, versus how she's more effective. So, I tried to take in what I know has been advice in the past for using Plague, as well as combining it with the knowledge of Trickster, especially new Trickster, and how I play him to hopefully come together with both a build and more effective play gameplay for you all today. On to the build. It's a lot of substituting what I have on my Trickster, if I'm being quite honest. On my Trickster, I have Starstruck, I have Ultimate Weapon, I know, but I'll explain. I have Blood Favor and Undying, of course, and the add-ons are to extend main event per blade hit during main event, and I'm using Memento Blades because why not, I guess. Everybody's talking about, oh, it just makes it feel better. I'm still not seeing too much from it, but I've always talked about using the add-ons that'll make you get your throw rate up faster, so why stop now, right? So, to substitute some of those things, I wanted to keep the same ideology for Plague, where there's opportunities to continue what I'm doing and push the advantage, as well as taking in my Knight build that I'm super proud of, that's been my staple for a while now, and my Xenomorph build. And I'll talk about how all of that has come together for today's Plague build. You see, it all starts with Plague's very own Corrupt Intervention. It literally starts there. Plague is somebody that can use time in the beginning, and time is a valuable resource to the bad guy's side. I think we all understand that. That's why you'll see regression perks everywhere, all the time, all the time. And for this channel, for about a year now, I think, maybe more, maybe I know I'm pushing 2, if not already at 2. That I've been using no regression in my builds to prove that you don't need it as long as you know what you're doing. That doesn't mean that we're going to take out all slowdowns, because it is nice on some, like Plague, where I could use the time to either get to Red Vom if I kind of have an idea of what I want to do and it's close to me, or start off puking on things with Green Vom, which is one bit of advice that I've taken in from Plague mains over this time of doing this YouTube shenanigan, in which you don't always want to take Corrupt and get green on everything, because if you wasted 2 minutes getting everything green and they're smart and you don't have any downs, they'll just start cleaning. You have nothing to show for it, and you know they have at least 1 gen popping because you've done pretty much nothing, because you didn't really think about it, you've just set up. But on the flip side, you don't want to automatically get red, put somebody down, and then put them on the hook, and then you've also gotten no value from Corrupt. So this is a delicate balance that also is kind of training wheels, but also just in general good to teach you what you need to be doing one way or another, which is making sure that you are carrying out your plan. Or that's what I've learned, right? So if red is next to me, don't immediately pick up the person that you put down. You have time. They didn't know that they had this time because they are now out of Corrupt land. Go put other people down, or if you have green, puke on 1 or 2 things that are open. Don't try to puke on everything. Puke on 1 or 2 things, and then get into that chase and put them down. Then next we have Dying Light. This takes the place of just being a good perk for the person. I've talked about how I really enjoy Starstruck on Trickster because 1, people don't expect it, and 2, in the past you needed every hook you can get, no matter what that meant. And now that he's 32 meter terror radius, and he's a bit more dangerous at 115, you can really apply that. So for that slot we have Dying Light for Plague, in which, well, she's the best user of it, if we're being quite frank, right? You make people broken. If they're broken, the Obsession can't heal them faster. Point blank period. And it gives you slowdown so you can play the game one way or another. If they aren't cleaning, well, then they're all one shot. And if they're one shot, you can put them on to a hook. And if they're on the hook, it's going slower. And if they are cleaning, they're not doing gens. And then the stacks make, when they finally get onto a gen, slower, so on and so forth. Dying Light is just very good on Plague. Not the best perk overall, but it's Plague can make the best use of it. Then for Infectious Fright, this is where we have taken the place of Ultimate Weapon for my Trickster build. Quite frankly, you want to remember that you are applying as much pressure as you can when you can without going out of your way to do it. The only reason I run Ultimate Weapon on Trickster is because I need to go to lockers anyway. Only reason why. For my playstyle, I don't have time to be kicking gens, and I don't have time to be going out of my way to open lockers to get some value out of Ultimate Weapon, and then possibly still get juiced. Like, been playing it for a while, let's not act like you still don't get juiced every now and again by a good survivor, right? So, Ultimate Weapon lets you find people, it doesn't let you end the chase. So, Infectious Fright is pretty much the same thing. You've ended the chase, now you have the information of how to get into another one. And you don't want to triple down on too many things because, well, if you get countered, it's just over, right? Ultimate Weapon, if they have Calm Spirit for Ultimate Weapon and they have Calm Spirit for Infectious Fright, you go about your day. That's why you don't also see me running Forced Hesitation to build that snowball that I was talking about. Because if I don't know if they're nearby, but Forced Hesitation went off, then oh well. And then for the last one, we move away from what I do with Trickster because Trickster, I still want to get downs as fast as possible. That's why we have Blood Favor and Undying in that build. But we're moving over to something that I think you can appreciate from my Knight and my Xenomorph alien build, right? I was really peeved off on behavior saying that they're not making more generic perks and they're not really trying to fill the slots that Stranger Things left because of coming back to the game. You don't have access to more things now. So, if I'm going to continue doing this, I don't want to feel bad about recommending things like Bitter Murmur and Spies from the Shadows to a new player without showing them that it can kind of work no matter how far you are into the game, as long as you have, like, an idea of how to use other things and how to apply those things. With my Knight build that you've seen several times on this channel, I'm using Knockout. Now, mind you, not a free perk, but the idea is that it's just an old, underused perk that you have to understand how to get value from. Knockout, you leave them on the ground, and that contributes to your game plan. Where now, if it was a 4v2, it's a 3v2, keep on going, and, so on and so forth. And then, even more so on that point, now going back to just free perks, we have my Xenomorph build using Spies from the Shadows, which works in the tunnels, gives you more range than with the little pitter patter on the steps, and also is just very good knowledge to have outside of the tunnels too in general. We've seen what windows of opportunity can do for survivors. The ones that are babies now know where things are, and the ones that are really good at looping, I now know how to get to the things that they are really good at using. Right? So with Spies from the Shadows, let's be honest. If I'm in a chase, sometimes I don't hear that a crow went off 20 meters behind me in the other direction. It's nice to have that visual aid, and sometimes if I'm getting juiced and rocked in a chase, a crow goes off, I know which way they actually went without me having to, hey, DbD sound doesn't always work, right? I think we've all played long enough to remember that. I see some newer players that go, what do you mean by that? Look, DbD sound isn't that great. So, going over to Deerstalker, which is just a free perk and helps me remember that we're using slugging to generate more pressure and do things around here. Yeah, Deerstalker is nice. Then for the add-ons, we go back to my Trickster build in which I want my main power boost, whatever, to happen longer. So that's why we're using Devotee's Amulet. Usually I'll tell you, don't focus on purples, go for greens because you won't always have purples. It's a difference of 10 seconds. It's not transformative like Trick Blades for Trickster or something like that. So I figured it'd be okay. And since I tell you to throw knives faster or use your power faster, we're using charge rate rubbing oil faster on Plague. I've also come to understand that people that actually play Plague tell you not really to focus on this because it's still kind of just up to the server. Much like how I tell you not to run Caged Heart Shoes because it makes bad habits. So I tried to stay away from this and give you something that people say is okay to use, especially when the next part is I'm still bad at this, but Plague mains will tell you you don't want to charge your power all the way up. You want to kind of tap, 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 which is what Don's Luna was getting to. You don't really want to all the time. You want to just know when you can put your power out there and get the M1 when it's time, when you can. So that's why we're using rub oil. And yeah, that's the idea. That's the build. And with that being said, roll the clip, and I hope you enjoy.
Ugh.